Yo, what's up? We're gonna continue reading the Bible for a little bit today, right now, for the second time. We're in Genesis 16. Okay, Genesis 16, verse 1. Now Sarah, Abram's wife, bare him no child, and she had a handmaid, an Egyptian, whose name was Hagar. And Sarai said unto Abram, Behold now, the Lord hath restrained me from bearing, and I pray thee, go in unto my maid. It may be that I may obtain children by her. And Abram hearkened to the voice of Sarai. And Sarah, Abram's wife, took Hagar's maid, the Egyptian, after Abram, and dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to her husband Abram for his wife. Verse 4. And he went in unto Hagar, and she conceived, and she saw that she had conceived. Her mistress was despised in her eyes, and Sarah said unto Abram, My wrong be upon thee. I have given my maid into thy bosom, and when she saw that she has conceived, I was despised in her eyes. The Lord judge between me and thee. But Abram said unto Sarah, Behold, thy maid is in thy hand. Do to her as it pleaseth thee. And when Sarah dealt hardly with her, she fled with her face. And the angel of the Lord found her by the fountain of water in the wilderness, by the fountain in the way to Shur. Verse 8. And she said, Hagar, Sarah's maid, whence camest thou? And whither wilt thou go? And she said, I flee from the face of my mistress Sarah. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, Return to the mistress, and submit thyself unto her hands. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, I will multiply thy seed exceedingly, and it shall not be numbered for multitude. That it shall not be numbered for multitude. Verse 11. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, Behold, thou art with child, and shalt bear a son, and shalt call his name Ishmael, because the Lord hath heard thy affliction. Verse 12. And he will be a wild man, his hand will be against every man, and every man's against him, and he shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren. Verse 13. And she called the name of the Lord that spake unto her, Thou God seest me, for she said, Have I looked after him that seeth me? Wherefore the well was called Beer Loya. Well, I don't know if that's pronounced that right, but behold, it is between Kadesh and Bird. And Hagar bare Abram a son, and called his son's name, which Hagar bare Ishmael. And Abram was 86 years old with Hagar, when Hagar bare Ishmael to Abram. I just keep writing letters. Okay. Verse 17. And when. Okay. Verse 17, y'all. And when Abram was 19 years old and 9, the Lord appeared to Abram and said unto him, I am the Almighty God, walk before me and be thou perfect. And I will make my covenant between me and thee, and will multiply thee exceedingly. And Abram fell on his face, and God talked with him, saying, As for me, behold, my covenant is with thee, and thou shalt be father of many nations. Verse 5. Neither shall thy name any more be called Abram, but thy name shall be Abraham, for a father of many nations I have made thee. Verse 6. And I will make thee exceedingly fruitful, and will make nations of thee, and kings shall come out of thee. And I will establish my covenant between me and thee and thy seed after thee in their generations for everlasting covenant to be God unto thee and to thy seed after thee. Verse 8. And I will give unto thee and to thy seed after thee the land wherein thou art a stranger, all the land of Canaan, for an everlasting possession, and I will be their God. And God said unto Abraham, Thou shalt keep my covenant, therefore, thou and thy seed after thee in their generations. This is my covenant which ye shall keep between me and you and thy seed after thee. Every man child among you shall be circumcised. Verse 11. And ye shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskin, and it shall be a token of the covenant betwixt me and you. Verse 12. And he that is 8 days old shall be circumcised among you, and every man child in your generations. He that is born in the house or bought with money of any stranger which is not of thy seed. Okay, verse 13. He that is born in thy house and that is bought with thy money must needs be circumcised, and my covenant shall be in your flesh for everlasting covenant. And the uncircumcised man shall, whose flesh of his foreskin is not circumcised, thou shalt be cut off from his people, and cut off from his people, he hath broken my covenant. And God said unto Abraham, As for Sarah thy wife, thou shalt not call her name Sarah, but Sarah, but Sarah shall her name be. Verse 16. And I will bless her, and I will give thee a son also of her. Yeah, yea, I will bless her, and be, and she shall be a mother of nations. Kings of people shall be of her. Verse 17. Then Abraham fell upon his face and laughed, and said in his heart, Shall a child be born unto him that is 100 years old, and shall Sarah that is 90 years old bear? And Abraham said unto God, O thou Ishmael, live before thee. Verse 19. And God said, Sarah thy wife shall bear thee a son indeed, and thou shalt call his name Isaac, and I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him. As for Ishmael, I have heard thee. Behold, I have blessed him, and I will make him fruitful, and will multiply him exceedingly. 12 princes shall he beget, and I will make him a great nation. Man, I'm getting a little bit better at reading these. Like, I haven't read in, like, read out loud like in ages. Like, I read, like, articles online and stuff, like, on the internet and stuff, like sports and stuff, but reading out loud is something different about it. It's definitely going to help me, though, because I'm getting better. Definitely will help me more with, like, talking and reading more out loud. Okay, let's get into it. Verse 21. But my covenant and I established with Isaac, with Sarah, shall bear unto thee at this set time in the next year. And he left off talking with him, and God went up from Abraham. And Abraham took Ishmael his son. Abraham took Ishmael his son, and all that were born in his house, and all that were bought with his money, every male among the men of Abraham's house, and circumcised flesh of their foreskin in the selfsame day, as God had said unto him. Verse 24. And Abraham was 90 years old and 9 when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin, and Ishmael his son was 13 years old when he was circumcised of the flesh of his foreskin. Verse 26. In the selfsame day was Abraham circumcised, and Ishmael his son, and the men of his house born in the house, and the men of his house born in the house, and bought with money of the stranger, were circumcised with him. Okay, y'all. Let me pause
That's
it.
it.
Okay, let's go. Sorry about the ads, y'all. I might start doing it from the browser. Ever don't have to do those annoying ads and just keep going. I forgot to do that this one, but the next one, this one's cool because you could like mark it that you read it, and you could even play the audio. But I might start using the browser. Those ads are so annoying. Okay, Genesis 18, verse 1. And the Lord appeared unto him in the plains of the Mamre, and he sat in the tent door in the heat of the day. And he lifted up his eyes and looked, and lo, the men stood by him. And when he saw them, he ran to meet them from the tent door and bowed himself toward the ground. Verse 3, and said, My Lord, if now I have found favor in thy sight, pass not away, I pray thee, from thy servant. Verse 4, Let a little water, I pray you, but fetched, and wash your feet, and rest yourselves under the tree, and I will fetch a morsel of bread, and comfort ye your hearts. After that ye shall pass on, for therefore, and ye come to your servant, and thy said do, and thou hast said. And Abraham hastened into the tent unto Sarah and said, Make ready quickly the measures of final meal, knead it, and make cakes upon the hearth. And Abraham ran unto the herd and fetched a calf tender and good, and gave it unto a young man, and hastened to dress it. And he took butter and milk, and the calf which he had dressed, and set it before him, and he stood by them under the tree, and they did eat. And they said unto them, Where was Sarah their wife? And he said, Behold, in the tent. Verse 10, And he said, I will certainly return unto thee according to the time of life, and lo, Sarah thy wife shall have a son. And Sarah heard it in the tent door which was behind him. And Abraham and Sarah were old and well stricken in age, and it ceased to be with Sarah after the manner of a woman. Verse 12. Therefore Sarah laughed within herself, saying, After I am waxed old, shall I have pleasure, my Lord, being old also? And the Lord said unto Abraham, Wherefore did Sarah laugh, saying, Shall I surely bear a child, which I am old? And is verse 14, Is anything too hard for the Lord? And is anything too hard for the Lord? And the time appointed, I will return unto thee according to the time of life, and Sarah shall have a son. Verse 15, Then Sarah denied, saying, I laughed not, for she was afraid. And he said, Nay, but thou didst laugh. And the men rose up from thence and looked toward Sodom, and Abraham went with them to bring them on the way. Verse 17, And the Lord said, Shall I hide from Abraham and the thing which I do? Seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed. Verse 19, For I know him, that he will command his children and his household after him, and they shall keep the way of the Lord to do justice and judgment, and the Lord may bring upon Abraham that he hath spoken of him. And the Lord said, Because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is grievous, I will go down now and see whether they have done altogether according to the cry of it which is come unto me, and if not, I will know. And the men turned their faces from thence and toward Sodom, but Abraham stood before the Lord. And Abraham drew near and said, Wilt thou also destroy the righteous with the wicked? Peradventure there be 50 righteous within the city. Wilt thou also destroy and not spare the place for 50 righteous that are therein? That be far from thee to do after his manner, to slay the righteous with the wicked, and that the righteous should also be as the wicked, that that be far from thee? Shall not the judge of all the earth do right? And the Lord said, if I find in Sodom 50 righteous within that city, then I will spare all the place for their sakes. And Abraham answered and said, behold, now I have taken upon me to speak unto the Lord, which I am but dust and ashes. Peradventure there shall lack 5 of the 50 righteous. Wilt thou destroy all the city for lack of 5? And he said, if I find there 40 and 5, I will not destroy it. And he said unto him again, and said, peradventure shall I find 40 found there? And said, I will not do it for 40's sake. And he said, oh, let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak. Peradventure there there shall 30 be found there. And he said, I will not do it if I find 30 there. And he said, behold, now I have taken upon me to speak unto the Lord. Peradventure there shall be 20 found there. And he said, I will not destroy it for 20's sake. And he said, O Lord, not the Lord be angry, and I will speak but this once. Peradventure 10 shall be found there. And he said, I will not destroy it for 10's sake. And the Lord went his way as soon as he had left communion with Abraham, and Abraham returned unto his place. Okay. Okay, Genesis 19. Let's go. And there came 2 angels to Sodom at even, and Lot sat in the gate of Sodom, and Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them, and bowed himself with his face towards the ground. And he said, behold now, my lords, turn in, I pray you, in your servant's house, and tarry all night, and wash your feet, and ye shall rise up early, and go on your ways. And they said, nay, but we will abide in the street all night. And he pressed upon them greatly, and they turned in unto him, and entered into his house, and he made them a feast, and did break unleavened bread, and they did eat. Verse 4, but before they lay down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compared the house round, both old and young, all the people from every quarter. Verse 5, and they called unto Lot, and he said unto him, where are the men which come in to thee this night? Bring them out unto us, that we may know them. And Lot ran out, and Lot ran out at the door unto them, and shut the door after him, and said, I pray you, brethren, do not so wickedly. Behold, now I have 2 daughters which have not known man. Let me, I pray you, bring them out unto you, and do ye to them as is good in your eyes. Only unto these men do nothing, for therefore they under the shadow of my roof. Woof. Oh, I guess it. Woof. Okay. And they said, stand back. And they said again, this one fellow came in to sojourn, and he will needs be a judge. Now will we deal worse with thee than with them. And they pressed sore upon the man, even Lot, and he came near to break the door. But the man put forth her hand and pulled Lot into the presence to them, and shut the door. And they smote the man that were at the door of the house with blindness, both small and great, so that they wearied themselves to find the door. Verse 12, and the man said unto Lot, hast thou here any besides son-in-law, and thy sons and thy daughters? And whosoever hast in the city, bring them out of this place. Verse 13, for we will destroy this place, because the cry of them is waxing great before the face of the Lord, and the Lord hath sent us to destroy it. And Lot ran out and spake unto his sons in the law, which married his daughters, and said, Up, get, get you out of this place, for the Lord will destroy the city. But he seemed as one that mocked unto his sons-in-laws. Verse 15, and when the morning arose, then the angels hastened Lot, saying, Arise, take thy wife and thy two daughters which are here, lest thou be consumed in the iniquity of the city. Verse 16, and while he lingered, the man laid hold upon his hand, and upon his hand of his wife, and the hand of his two daughters, the Lord being merciful unto them, and they brought him forth and set him in the city. 17, and it came to pass, when they had brought them forth abroad, that he said, Escape for thy life, look not behind thee, neither stay thou in all the plain, escape to the mountain, lest thou be consumed. And Lot said unto them, Oh, not so, my lord. Verse 19, Behold, now thy servant hath found grace in thy sight, and thou hast magnificent thy mercy which thou hast showed unto me in saving my life, and I cannot escape to the mountain, lest someone evil shall take me, and I die. Behold now, this is the verse 20. Behold now, this is near to flee unto, and it is a little one. Oh, let me escape thither. It is not a little one, and my soul shall live. And he said unto them, See, I have accepted thee concerning this also, that I will not overthrow the city for the which thou hast spoken. 22. Haste thee, escape thither, for I cannot do anything till thou be come thither. Therefore the name of the city was called Zoar. The sun risen upon the earth when Lot entered into Zoar. Then the Lord rained upon Sodom and Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven, and he overthrew those cities and all the plain and all the inhabitants of the cities that which grew upon the ground. But his wife looked back from behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. And Abraham got up early in the morning to place where he stood before the Lord, and he looked toward Sodom and Gomorrah and toward all the land of the plain, and beheld, and lo, the smoke of the country went up as the smoke of a furnace. And it came to pass, when God destroyed the cities of the plain, then God remembered Abraham and sent Lot out of the midst of the overthrow, when he overthrew the cities in which Lot dwelt. And Lot went out of Zoar and dwelt in the mountain, and his two daughters with him, for he feared to dwell in Zoar. He dwelt in a cave, he and his two daughters. And the firstborn said unto the younger, Our father was old, and there is not a man in earth to come in unto us after the manner of all earth. Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him, that may preserve seed of our father. And I made the father drink wine that night, and the firstborn went in and lay with her father, and he perceived not when she lay down, nor when she arose. And it came to pass on the morrow, when the firstborn said unto the younger, Behold, I lay yesternight with my father. Let us make drink and wine this night also, and go thou in and lie with him, that he may preserve seed of our father. And they made their father drink wine that night also, and the younger arose and lay with him, and he perceived not when she lay down, nor when she arose. Thus were both the daughters of Lot with child. Thus were both the daughters of Lot with child by their father. And the firstborn bare a son, and called his name Moab. The same is the father of the Moabites unto this day. And the younger she also bore a son, and called his name Ben Ami, the same as the father of the children of Ammon unto this day.
If you are a Christian, you can play Holoscapes to prevent memory.
Okay. Chapter 20, verse 1. And Abraham journeyed from thence toward the south country and dwelt between Kadesh and Shur and sojourned in Gerar. And Abraham said of Sarah his wife, she is my sister, and Amalek king of Gewar sent and took Sarah. But God came to Amalek in a dream by night and said unto him, Behold, thou art but a dead man for the woman which thou hast taken, for she is a man's wife. But Amalek had not come near her, and he said, Lord, wilt thou slay also a righteous nation? Verse 5. She said, No, said he not unto me, She is my sister, and she herself said, He is my brother, in the integrity of my heart and innocency of my hands I have done this. And God said unto them in a dream, Yea, I know thou didst this in integrity of thy heart, for also withheld thee from sinning against me, therefore suffered I thee not to touch her. Verse 7. Now therefore restore the man his wife, as he is a prophet, and he shall pray for thee, and thou shalt live. And if thou restore her not, know thou that thou shalt surely die, thou and all that are thine. Verse 8. Therefore Amalek rose early in the morning, and called all his servants, and told all these things in their ears, and the men were sore afraid. Then Amalek called Abraham and said unto him, What hast thou done unto us? And what have I offended thee, that thou hast brought on me, on my kingdom, a great sin, and thou hast done deeds unto me, thou art not, thou that ought not be ashamed. Verse 10. And Amalek said unto Abraham, What sawest thou, that thou hast not done this thing? And Abraham said, Because I thought, surely the fear of God is not in this place, and they will slay me for my wife's sake. And yet, indeed, she is my sister, and she is the daughter of my father, but not the daughter of my mother, and she became my wife. Verse 13. And it came to pass, when God caused me to wander from my father's house, that I said unto her, This is thy kindness which thou shalt show unto me at every place whither we shall come. Say of me, He is my brother. And Amalek took sheep and oxen and men servants and women servants, and gave them unto Abraham, and restored him his wife. Restored him Sarah his wife. Verse 15. And Amalek said, Behold, thy hand is before thee, dwell where it pleaseth thee. And unto Sarah he said, Behold, I am giving thy brother 1,000 pieces of silver. Behold, he is to thee a covering of the eyes unto all that are thee, and with all other. Thus she was reproved. 17. So Abraham prayed unto God, and God healed Amalek and his wife and his maidservants, and they bare children. For the Lord had fast closed up all the rooms of the house of Amalek because of Sarah, Abraham's wife. Can't think what's up there, y'all. Stay tuned for the next one, alright? Peace, God bless. See you soon. Comment, rate, and subscribe.